built. By sunrise, the HOA would be dead, and Karen would be, well, you won't believe where she ended up. How did one night flip our entire neighborhood upside down? Buckle up for the craziest HOA takedown ever. Where are you watching from? Peaceful Meadows. That's what they called our neighborhood when it was established back in 2015. Beverly Higgins, the main investor in the development project, appointed herself as HOA president from day one. For 5 years, nobody dared challenge her because she knew everyone's secrets, controlled every fine, and had her fingers in every pie. I had just inherited my parents' ranch 3 months ago, complete with a beautiful private lake that had been in our family since 1987. The property deed was crystal clear. Every inch of that land, including the lake, belonged to me and me alone. But apparently, Beverly had other ideas about my inheritance. The red flags started appearing almost immediately after I moved in. Beverly showed up at my door within 48 hours, clipboard in hand and fake smile plastered on her face. Welcome to Peaceful Meadows. That's quite a beautiful lake you have there. The HOA will take good care of it, she said, her eyes gleaming with something I should have recognized as greed. Over the next few weeks, the requests started rolling in. You should trim those oak trees by the water. The HOA suggests installing lights around the lake perimeter. It would be nice if you shared such beautiful scenery with the community. Being new and wanting to fit in, I actually followed some of her suggestions, spending my own money to install lighting and trim the trees. My neighbor, Mr. Johnson, a 70-year-old military veteran who lived here since the beginning, warned me one afternoon while I was working on the landscaping. "Son, you need to watch out for Beverly," he said, shaking his head. "Last month, she fined me $500 because my car was supposedly 2 inches over the parking line. I measured it myself, it was barely 1 inch. And that's only because her nephew Kyle painted the lines crooked in the first place." I laughed it off at the time, thinking he was exaggerating. How wrong I was. Everything changed last week when Kyle showed up. Beverly's 30-year-old cousin was a small-time streamer, the kind who would do anything for views and donations. He walked around the neighborhood with his phone, streaming live to his 5,000 followers. "Yo, chat, check out this sick lake. Can you imagine partying here? This would be the ultimate summer bash spot." His viewers went crazy in the chat, spamming messages about organizing a meetup. Beverly's eyes lit up like Christmas morning when she saw his stream. "Kyle dear, I might have an idea that could help your channel grow," she purred. Fast forward to today, 5 p.m. I'm coming home from my accounting job, coffee in hand, classic rock on the radio, thinking about maybe doing some fishing before dinner. I turn into my driveway, and my coffee cup hits the floor. There are at least 50 people having a full-blown rave party in my lake. Professional DJ equipment blasting EDM music that could wake the dead. Industrial-sized BBQ grills pumping smoke everywhere. Trash already littering my pristine lawn. A massive banner stretched between two of my 100-year-old oak trees reading, "Beverly Community Lake Summer Bash 2025. And there, right in the middle of it all, is Kyle with a wireless microphone, hyping up the crowd while donations flood the stream. What's up, Peaceful Meadows? Thanks to my amazing cousin Beverly, we're throwing the party of the century. Donation goal is $10,000. Let's make it happen." His viewer count had jumped to 8,000 and climbing. The chat was going insane with messages like, "Best stream ever," and "Free pool party, let's go." Some viewers were even asking, "Is this actually legal?" But those comments were quickly buried under the hype. Then Kyle spotted me standing there in shock. His camera immediately zoomed in on my face. "Oh, Snapchat, looks like we've got an angry boomer at 12 o'clock. This dude looks pressed. What should we do?" The chat exploded with suggestions, ranging from call security to push him in the lake to Karen alert. The worst part wasn't just the party. Someone had literally welded a metal sign onto my century-old oak tree that read, "Conduct of Accurately of Home, managed by Beverly Higgins. Trespassers will be prosecuted." "Everyone needs to leave now. This is private property," I shouted, holding up my property papers that I'd printed from my house. I kept streaming, turning my outrage into entertainment. "Yo, this dude is big mad. Chat, should we call security on this party pooper?" One of the partygoers, some college kid with a backwards cap, laughed in my face. "Nah, bro, this is community property now. Check the HOE email." He showed me his phone with some bogus announcement about the lake being converted to community use. That's when Beverly appeared, strutting across my lawn like she owned the place. She was dressed in her HOA president power suit, complete with an oversized badge that said, "President," and a clipboard that she wielded like a weapon. "Adam Deere, there a problem? She asked, with that fake concern that made my blood boil. You seem upset. Perhaps you didn't read the new bylaw amendment I sent last week? What amendment? You can't just take my lake, I shouted, my voice cracking with rage. Beverly smiled and turned to Victoria. Oh, but I can. Amendment 15.3 clearly states that all water features exceeding 1,000 square feet will be designated as community assets for the benefit of all residents. It was voted on unanimously by the board. What board? Who voted? I demanded. Why, the executive board, of course. Myself as president, myself as treasurer, and myself as secretary. A unanimous decision, as I said. She actually had the audacity to chuckle at her own conclusion. From his fence line, Mr. Johnson yelled out support for me. Adam's right, that's his property. You can't just steal it, Beverly. Beverly whipped around, eyes narrowly dangerous. Mr. Johnson, wasn't your car 3 inches over the line again this morning? That's another $500 fine. Would you like to make it 1,000? The situation was spiraling out of control. I'll stream your account and get 15,000 in drama. Report it and watch the bump. Donation notifications were going off like slot machines. Messages like Team Beverly and Kick Him Out, mixed with a few "This is wrong" supporters. Then came the moment that changed everything. A massive donation notification flashed on the screen. $500 from someone called Anonymous Donor. The message: call the cops on this user. Beverly's fake smile morphed into something genuine. She pulled out her phone slowly, dramatically, making sure Kyle's camera caught every moment. You know what, Adam? You're absolutely right. This is a problem. Let me fix it for you. She started dialing, her manicured finger pressing each number deliberately. 911. Wait, is she actually calling 911 on me? At my own property? I couldn't believe what was happening. The crowd had gone quiet, everyone watching with their phones out, ready to record whatever came next. Kyle zoomed in on Beverly's face as she pressed the call button, then panned to me, then back to her. The split screen of reality, the property owner versus the HOA president with 5 years of unchecked power. Comment right now, who do you think the cops will believe? The guy with legal property papers, or the HOA president who's been running this place for half a decade? Type Adam or Beverly. Let's see who you're rooting for. 7 p.m. hit and I was back in my house, hands literally shaking with rage and adrenaline. I set up my phone to record everything, made sure all my property papers were organized in a folder, and quickly Googled HOA overreach laws to refresh my memory from the real estate course I took years ago. I even shot a quick text to my lawyer for might need you soon. HOA president trying to steal my lake. His response was immediate. Recording everything? Already on it, I texted back. I looked at the photo of my parents on the mantle. They'd worked their whole lives to afford this ranch. They needed something new. The whole entertainment would be built, I whispered to their smiling faces. The party outside was getting louder by the minute, and through my window I could see more cars driving. This wasn't just a gathering anymore, it was becoming a full-scale event on my property. By 7:30, the group had swelled to over 70 people. Someone had set up professional photography equipment for lakeside glamour shots. Had actually pulled up and was serving tacos on my driveway. But the worst part was watching Kyle's stream explode. His donation bar showed 1,000 out of $1,000 trades. The viewer count kept climbing. The chat was pure chaos, with messages flying by so fast. Some viewers were starting to question the legality. Wait, is this actually his lake? This feels wrong. But these voices of reason were drowned out by the party night and drama seekers. I knew I had to go back out there. I couldn't let them destroy my property while I sat inside like a coward. I grabbed my papers, made sure my phone was recording, and headed back into the battlefield. 8 p.m. arrived, and I stepped back outside to absolute mayhem. Kyle spotted me immediately, and his whole demeanor shifted to pure entertainment mode. Yo, chat, round 2, Angry at his back. Place your bets. Is he gonna cry or call his lawyer? The viewer count spiked to 25,000 as word spread through streaming communities that real-life drama was unfolding. Some big streamer must have raided Kyle's channel because the numbers were climbing faster than ever. The chat was going absolutely wild with messages like, "Boss, fighting comic, get the pop reward," and, surprisingly, quite a few "Team Adam, that's his property." The party crowd was getting drunker and more aggressive. "This is your last warning," I shouted over the thing. "Everyone needs to leave my property now." Some drunk college kid actually threw an empty beer can into my lake and laughed. "Make us grandpa! This is a public space now!" That's when Kyle really ramped things up. He started a donation war on stream. Team Adam versus Team Beverly. Biggest donation in the next 5 minutes decides who's right. The notification started flooding in. $50 for Beverly, $100 for Adam, $200 for Beverly. The crowd was cheering for each big donation like it was a sporting event. Meanwhile, Beverly stood at the edge of the crowd like a general surveying her troops, that smug smile never leaving her face. At 8:30, everything came to a head. Kyle suddenly looked panicked and screamed into his mic, "Chat, code red, code red. Angry Adam is getting aggressive. Cousin Bev, we need help." Beverly materialized from the crowd, like she'd been waiting for this exact moment, her phone already in hand. She positioned herself perfectly in front of Kyle's camera, making sure the stream caught every word. "Don't worry, everyone. I'll handle this. Chat, you're about to witness what happens when someone threatens our peaceful community." Kyle's viewer count hit 45,000. The biggest streaming news aggregator accounts were already clipping and sharing the footage. The chat was moving so fast it was just a blur of emotes and capital letters. Beverly dialed 911 with the actual precision, putting it on speaker so everyone could hear. "911, what's your emergency?" The dispatcher's voice rang out across the party. "This is Beverly Higgins, HOA president at Peaceful Meadows," she began, her voice shifting to sound frightened and vulnerable. "We have an intoxicated and violent man threatening my young cousin and over 70 innocent community members at our neighborhood lake. Ma'am, is anyone injured?" Papers around aggressively and screaming at families with children. "He seems extremely unstable. I think he might have a weapon. Please hurry to 1847 Meadow Lake Drive," she lied without a hint of shame. "We're dispatching units now, ma'am. Can you get somewhere safe?" "I'll try, but he's blocking the only exit," barely added for extra drama. The blatant lies made my blood run cold. Kyle's chat was going absolutely nuclear. Half were spamming false report, while others were typing Karen level over 9,000. The split in the chat was fascinating. You could see public opinion dividing in real time. After hanging up, Beverly turned to me with the most condescending smile I'd ever seen. "They'll be here in 5 minutes, Adam. I suggest you calm down and think about your actions. Threatening people isn't very neighborly." At exactly 9 p.m., 2 police cruisers pulled up with lights flashing. The music cut off immediately. The entire party went silent, everyone pulling out their phones to record. Kyle streamed at a peak of 50,000 viewers with the title, "Cops Called on Angry Neighborhood Lived." Even he was warning his chat. "Guys, please don't do anything that violates terms of service. Keep it clean." Officers Davis and Smith stepped out of their vehicles, hands resting casually on their duty belts as they assessed the situation. Beverly practically sprinted to them, launching into an Oscar-worthy performance. "Officers, thank God you're here. That man," she pointed at me dramatically, "has been threatening us. I think he's intoxicated. My poor 25-year-old cousin is terrified." She actually managed to squeeze out a tear. Kyle, clearly not terrified at all, was trying to play along while still screaming. Yeah, officers, he's been super scary and stuff." His heart clearly wasn't in the lie. Officer Davis approached me with professional caution. "Sir, we received a report about threats and aggressive behavior. Can you tell me what's happening here?" I kept my voice calm and steady, hands visible at all times. "Officer, my name is Adam Williams. I own this property, including the lake. All these people are trespassing. I have all the documentation right here." I handed over my folder of property papers, deed, and recent tax statements. "He's lying," Beverly screeched. "This is HOA community space. I have the amended bylaws right here." She waved her clipboard frantically. Officer Smith took my documents to verify, while Officer Davis kept the scene under control. The tension was unbelievable. Kyle's street chat was placing bets on what would happen. Adam going to jail. No way, Bev about to get exposed. Plot twist incoming. The 2 minutes while Officer Smith ran my information felt like 2 hours. Finally, Officer Smith returned from the cruiser. "Ma'am Higgins, this property has been privately owned by the Williams family since 1987. It's currently registered to Adam Williams. This is not HOA property and you have no authority here." The silence was deafening. Then Kyle's chat absolutely exploded. "Beverly got wrecked. Called it. Just served. LLLLL. Karen down." Someone donated $1,000 with the message, "Adam gang, rise up." Officer Davis turned to Beverly with barely concealed irritation. "Ma'am, you facilitated trespassing on private property. More concerning, you filed a false 911 report claiming an intoxicated, violent man with a possible weapon. That's a $500 fine at minimum, and you can face misdemeanor charges for false reporting. Beverly's face went through an amazing color transformation. Red to purple, ghost white in about 3 seconds. But I'm the HOA president, she sputtered, as if that title gave her immunity from law. That doesn't give you authority over private property, ma'am, Officer Smith explained patiently. And it certainly doesn't allow you to make false emergency reports. The crowd started dispersing quickly, nobody wanting to be associated with trespassing charges. Kyle was desperately trying to save face on stream. Chat, we're having some technical difficulties here. Stream might cut out for a bit. He was frantically trying to delete the VOD, but Officer Smith noticed. Young man, keep that video as evidence. We'll need it for the report. Kyle's face went pale as he realized his own strength and documented Beverly's lies. The sweet harmony was absolutely delicious. By 9:30, the party was over, which littered my once pristine property. My oak trees had been damaged. The metal sign remained welded to the tree. But Beverly stood there, shaking with rage and humiliation, abandoned by her supporters. I looked at my watch deliberately, then locked eyes with her. Beverly, it's exactly 9:30 p.m. right now. I want you to remember this moment. She glared at me in pure hatred. What's that supposed to mean? It means you have exactly 12 hours. 12 hours to watch everything you've built crumble to dust. 12 hours before the Peaceful Meadows HOA becomes nothing but a bad memory. I turned to leave, then paused for dramatic effect. Oh, and Beverly, I suggest you check your email at exactly 2:30 a.m. Don't go to sleep. You won't want to miss it. Sweet dreams. Cuddle Stream is still running. The chat absolutely losing their minds. What's happening in 12 hours? 3:30 a.m. email? This is better than Netflix. The viewer count held steady at 35,000. Everyone waiting to see what would happen next. Chat's going crazy right now. What do you think my plan is? And why 3:30 a.m. specifically? Comment revenge if you want to see Beverly get what she deserves, or mercy if you think I should let it go. The votes will decide how hard I go tonight. Countdown timer appeared on my phone screen. 11 hours, 30 minutes, and counting. The longest night of Beverly Higgins' life had just begun. 10 p.m. arrived and I was in full war mode. My home office transformed into a command center. 3 monitors glowing, printer loaded with 500 sheets of paper, and the first of many coffee pots brewing. The whiteboard on my wall now read, Operation HOA Destruction. Set a reminder if I disappear, Beverly did it. The device responded cheerfully. Reminder set. I got a text from my lawyer asking if I needed help yet. Not legal help, I replied, but stay tuned. This is about to get interesting. The adrenaline was pumping so hard I could hear my heartbeat. 5 years of Beverly's tyranny was about to end, and I had exactly 11 and a half hours to make it happen. I cracked my knuckles, took a deep breath, and began the digital hunt that would destroy Beverly Higgins. 10:30 p.m., and the first target was obvious, the HOA email system. Beverly wasn't exactly tech-savvy, so I figured her password wouldn't be too complex. The timer on my phone showed 11 hours remaining as I navigated the HOA portal. First attempt, Beverly HOA. Incorrect. Second, Beverly 2015. Incorrect. Third, I am the boss. I am incorrect. I was about to get locked out when I stopped and thought, what would a narcissistic control freak use as a password? Someone who thought they were untouchable, who believed they'd rule forever. I typed slowly, President for life, and held my breath. The screen flashed green. Access granted. Bingo, I whispered. Now let's see what skeletons are hiding in your digital closet, Beverly. The inbox was a gold mine of corruption, and I was about to excavate every dirty secret. 11 p.m. struck as I discovered the first bombshell. The timer showed 10 hours and 30 minutes remaining. I searched the inbox for Lake Project and found an email thread that made my jaw drop. Beverly had been emailing herself, literally creating a paper trail of her own corruption. Transferred $15,000 from Lake Community Development, approved by President, that's me, one email read. Second withdrawal of $25,000 for infrastructure improvements to Community Lake, approved. A third. Final withdrawal of $30,000 for beautification project, and board approved. Me, myself, and I voted yes. $70,000 stolen for a lake she didn't even own. My first coffee cup was empty, but the caffeine was unnecessary. Pure rage was keeping me wired. I started taking screenshots of everything, organizing them into folders labeled evidence. Midnight arrived with revelation number 2. 9 hours remaining on the timer. I found a folder labeled HOA bylaws, and inside were 2 documents that would seal Beverly's fate. Bylaws_original_2015 PPL, the legitimate founding documents of the HOA. The second was bylaws_updated_2020_final PPL, Beverly's corrupted version. I opened them side by side, and the differences were staggering. The original clearly stated, the Homeowners Association shall have no authority over private property beyond the enforcement of reasonable aesthetic standards. But Beverly's version had mysteriously grown new sections, including all water features exceeding 1,000 square feet shall be designated as community assets under HOA management. The smoking gun came when I examined the PDF properties. Beverly had forgotten to flatten the document after editing. The Photoshop layers were still visible, showing where she copied and pasted signatures from other documents. Amateur hour, Beverly, I muttered, saving everything. You just made this too easy. By 1 a.m., I was on coffee pot number 2 and discovering more dirt. 8 hours left on the clock. Asking if I was okay after seeing the police leave. Better than okay, I replied. Checked your email at 4 a.m. Thrust me back to Beverly's emails and found a password-protected file named expenses_confidential.sml. But Excel passwords are notoriously 30 seconds with a password cracker, and I was in. The spreadsheet that opened made me actually gasp out loud. Line after line of HOA funds misappropriated for Beverly's personal use. $8,000 for BMW repairs labeled as street maintenance. $12,000 for a Hawaii vacation labeled as POA Leadership Conference. $15,000 in shopping sprees labeled as office supplies. The total stolen over 5 years came to $73,458. 2 a.m. arrived. Time to weaponize everything I'd found. 7 hours remained, and I could feel the weight of exhaustion trying to creep in, but I pushed through. I started composing the email that would end Beverly's reign. The subject line had to be perfect, something that would make every resident open it immediately. I typed, urgent. Your HOA president is a thief. $70,000 stolen. Proof attached. Open immediately. The email body was a masterpiece of controlled fury, laying out the evidence in bullet points that anyone could understand. I attached every screenshot, every document, every piece of evidence. I included a link to Kyle's screen VOD showing Beverly making a false 911 call. For good measure, I CC'd 3 local news stations, the District Attorney's Office, and the State Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division. This wasn't just about revenge anymore, this was about justice. But the email bomb wasn't enough. I wanted the IRS involved. A quick Google search for Report Tax Fraud Fast led me to the IRS website. I discovered that cases involving public interest and immediate evidence could be fast-tracked, especially if there was a public meeting where the subject might flee. I filled out Form 3949A online, uploading every financial document I'd found. In the notes section, I wrote, subject holding public meeting at 7 a.m. tomorrow. High flight risk. $70,000 unreported income from embezzled HOA funds. Evidence attached. Urgent processing request.
I shot
Confirmation
food.
number that appeared on screen felt like a weapon locked and loaded. At 2:30 a.m., with 6.5 hours remaining. This world. I designed a flyer in Photoshop that would be impossible to ignore. Beverly's professional photo from the HOA website served as the base. I added devil horns, dollar signs for eyes, and text that screamed, wanted. HOA thief, Beverly Higgins stole $70,000 from you? At the bottom, I included a QR code that linked directly to a Google Drive folder containing all the evidence. The printer hummed to life, churning out 300 copies while I planned my distribution. By 3 a.m., everything was ready. 6 hours remained on the timer. 200 emails sat in my outbox, scheduled to send at exactly 3:30 a.m. The IRS report showed received, under review, case number. 300 flyers sat in neat stacks, ready to take to the neighborhood. Kyle's screen VOD was downloaded and backed up in 3 different places, just in case he tried to delete the evidence. I backed up everything to the cloud, created a redundant USB drive, and even emailed a copy to my lawyer friend with instructions to release it if anything happened. I was taking no chances. Beverly had ruled through fear and intimidation for 5 years. That ended tonight. Before the final push, I checked Beverly's HOA email one last time. A new message had arrived just minutes ago, sent to her personal lawyer. We need to discuss liability protection and asset transfers. Can we meet tomorrow? I laughed out loud. Too late, Beverly, way too late. At 3:29 a.m., I sat with my finger hovering over the Send All button. The timer showed 5 hours and 30 minutes remaining, 200 emails that would reach every household in Peaceful Meadows, the IRS report that would trigger a federal investigation, 300 flyers that would ensure nobody could claim ignorance. This was it. My phone rang. Unknown number. Every instinct told me not to answer, but curiosity won. Hello? I answered cautiously. Mr. Williams? This is Officer Davis from earlier. You need to know something about Beverly. She's done this before. 3 other neighborhoods in the state. Each time she embezzles funds, gets caught, and moves on. But here's the thing. She's never faced real consequences because she always... The line went dead. I stared at the phone. 3 other neighborhoods? A serial HOA criminal? This was bigger than I thought. The chap from earlier was right. This was better than Netflix. My finger hovered over the send button again as comments flooded my memory. From Kyle Stream, what did she do? Type, send it if he should launch everything now. Type, wait if he should investigate further. The overwhelming response had been, send it. And who was I to disappoint 50,000 viewers? At exactly 3:30 a.m., I clicked to send. The nuclear option was launched. There was no stopping it now. 3:30 a.m., digital bombs were dropping. The timer showed 5 hours and 30 minutes as I watched the email read receipts roll in. 1 red, 5 red, 20, 50, 150. Beverly's phone had to be exploding with notifications. I could see her reading the email in real time. The receipt showed Beverly Higgins read at 3:31 a.m. Then again at 3:32, 3:33. She was reading it over and over, probably trying to comprehend that her empire was crumbling. But emails weren't enough. It was time for phase 2. Physical warfare. I dressed in all black like some suburban ninja and loaded the flyers into my car. The neighborhood was dead quiet. Most normal people fast asleep, blissfully unaware that their HOA president was about to be exposed as a criminal. I started with Beverly's house, and I made it 50 flyers covered every surface I could reach. Her front door looked like it had been wallpapered with her own wanted posters. Her car was completely covered, windshield, windows, even tucked under the wipers. I stuffed her mailbox until it couldn't hold another sheet. The lawn ornaments... she was so proud of. Each got their own flyer. For the grand finale, I used wheat paste to attach a massive version to her garage door. This one wouldn't be coming off without a pressure washer. Then I hit every house on the street, every community board, every street lamp, even stop signs. Some early rising neighbors were already opening their doors, drawn by notification sounds from the email bomb. Is this real? One guy asked me, holding a flyer. Check your HOA bank statements for the last 5 years, I told him. Then check your... His face went from confusion to shock to anger in about 3 seconds. That witch, he exclaimed before running back inside. White. By 5:30 a.m., the timer showed 3.5 hours remaining. The sky was turning from black to deep purple, and the neighborhood was waking up angry. I was exhausted, but running on pure adrenaline and righteousness. My phone was buzzing non-stop with texts from neighbors who'd read the email. The HOA group chat, which I could see through Beverly's still logged in email, was absolute chaos. Is this real? $70,000? I knew that witch was crooked. Emergency meeting now. Where's our money? The messages were coming so fast the app was lagging. Someone started a group voice call and within minutes 50 people had joined, all talking over each other. The anger was palpable, even through the phone speakers. Beverly wasn't responding to any of it, which only made people angry. 6 a.m. arrived with the timer showing 3 hours left. The entire street was now alive with activity, people in robes and slippers congregating in driveways, holding flyers to phones, voices raised in outrage. I watched from my window as the mob mentality took hold. This wasn't just about money anymore. This was about 5 years of fines, 5 years of arbitrary rules, 5 years of living under Beverly's thumb. Someone had already started a Facebook group called Beverly Higgins Stole Our Money, and it had over 100 members within minutes. Photos of the flyers were being shared, with captions like, "Share this everywhere." The local news had been tagged hundreds of times. Kyle's stream clip was going viral again, with new context. Beverly's house of cards wasn't his fault, it was being hit by a hurricane. 6:30 a.m. brought the moment I'd been waiting for, timer showing 2.5 hours. I watched from my living room window as Beverly discovered the wallpaper job I'd done on her house. She stumbled out in the bathroom, usually perfect hair in disarray, makeup smeared from what looked like crying. The shriek she let out when she saw the flyers could probably be heard 3 blocks away. She started ripping them down frantically, but for every one she removed, 10 more seemed to remain. Neighbors were openly filming her breakdown from their driveways. Some were even laughing. 5 years of built-up resentment was pouring out. Beverly was dwelling. Her phone was ringing constantly. She answered, screamed, "It's all lies," and hang up. She tried calling the lawyer, but from what I could hear, he wasn't answering at 6:30 in the morning. The beautiful part was watching her try to maintain control. She actually attempted to march over to Mr. Johnson's house and fine him for disturbing the peace, but he just laughed in her face. "Fine me? You're going to prison, Beverly." That seemed to break something in her. She ran back to her house, but now casually standing with a fresh cup of coffee, and screamed, "You pay for this! I will sue you for everything! Defamation, harassment, cyberbullying!" A slow sip of coffee before responding. It is an absolute defense against defamation, Beverly. Also, you might want to check your bank accounts. The IRS moves fast when they smell tax evasion. The color drained from her face completely. She actually swayed on her feet. "You didn't." "Oh, I did. Form 3949A, filed at 2:15 a.m. They already have everything." She turned and ran back to her house, slamming the door so hard it shook. 7 a.m. arrived. The timer showed 2 hours remaining. The community park was already packed when I arrived with my projection equipment. It looked like the entire neighborhood had shown up. 180 out of 200 families. Absolutely unprecedented for any HOA. I'd set up a projector and speakers in advance, and people were already gathering around, their anger palpable. Everyone wanted answers, justice, and most importantly, their money back. The crowd was diverse. Young families who'd been fined for toys in the yard, elderly couples who'd been harassed about garden gnomes, middle-aged professionals who'd paid thousands in dues for nothing, all united in their fury at Beverly. The energy was electric, like a revolution about to begin. Signs had already appeared. "Give us our money back," and "Beverly equals thief." And my personal favorite, HOA equals homeowners against Adam, more like horrible old administrator. Beverly arrived at 7:05. She looked like she'd aged 10 years overnight. Her usually perfect appearance was completely shattered. Hair unbrushed, makeup hastily applied and already smearing, clothes wrinkled like she'd slept in them, if she'd slept at all. She was still trying to project authority, clutching her presidential clipboard like a life preserver, but her hands were shaking so badly papers were falling out. "This is an illegal meeting," she screeched the moment she saw the crowd. "I didn't authorize this. Everyone go home immediately or face fines." The crowd's response was immediate and brutal. "Shut up, Beverly. Thief, where's our money?" Someone threw a crumpled flyer at her. She tried to maintain composure, but it was like watching a dam crack under pressure. "You're all being manipulated by that terrorist Adam Williams. He's lying, it's all lies." But I was ready for this. I stepped up to the microphone I'd set up, calm and collected despite running on no sleep and much caffeine. "Good morning, neighbors. I apologize for the early hour, but you needed to see this immediately. What I'm about to show you isn't manipulation, it's 5 years of evidence that Beverly Higgins has been stealing from every single one of us. Martin fell silent, all eyes on the projection screen. Let me show you exactly where you're finding. I clicked to the first slide, and the crowd's reaction was everything I'd hoped for. There was Beverly's face, complete with the devil horns and dollar signs I'd added, under the title Beverly's Greatest Thefts. The gasp of the crowd. Someone shouted, "That's savage!" and nervous laughter rippled through the gathering. But the laughter died quickly as I moved to slide 2. The pie chart showing the breakdown of stolen funds hit them like a sledgehammer. 40% for Beverly's personal shopping, 30% for her vacations, 20% for her car repairs. Only 10% actually spent on legitimate HOA business. The crowd erupted. $70,000? That's our money! Arrest her! How could you? The anger was building to a crescendo. Slide 3 was the killing blow. The side-by-side comparison of the real and fake bylaws, with the Photoshop layers clearly visible. I'd even circled the obvious copy-paste artifacts in the signatures. As you can see, I said calmly into the microphone, Beverly literally forged her signatures to give herself power over private property. This is fraud, plain and simple. It was beyond anything. No, they were furious. 5 years of arbitrary fines, 5 years of power trips, 5 years of living under a dictator who was also robbing them blind. At 7:20, the dam finally burst. Mr. Johnson stood up, his voice carrying the weight of military authority. I want everyone to know that this woman fined me $500 for parking 2 inches over a line. I measured it myself. It was 1.5 inches. And only because her nephew painted the lines wrong.